Happy December 11th, and welcome to MicroStrategy Today, the only daily show that's bringing you MicroStrategy insights and updates 7 days a week. Today, we're talking about the Bitcoin yield increase. We'll be talking about Ray Diallo and what his thoughts are on MicroStrategy. We'll be talking about the Microsoft shareholder vote and why some people are thinking that MicroStrategy is a Ponzi scheme. We'll talk about those things and more. But first, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. Here we are on the MicroStrategy tracker right now. Stock price closed yesterday at $377, which bumped us up 11 spots in the S&P 500. This is on a micro move too. Imagine when we start making these big moves. I mean, this is going to be exciting times in the future, my friends. Bitcoin price is right around 98,400. The Bitcoin balance is up to 423,650. So Michael Saylor keeps stacking the cool, as we like to say. The Bitcoin yield, the Bitcoin value per basic share is up to $174 per share. This number just keeps on going up over time. It's so fun to see. The NAV is at 2.537. And the unrealized profit loss is 16 billion now, with a 63% profit loss return percentage. So a lot of cool things here. The Catalyst tracker came out, and now we have just 2 days until the QQQ inclusion announcement. We'll be talking about that in a little bit here. Obviously, yesterday was the Microsoft shareholder vote. We'll talk a little about that in a minute as well. The QQQ inclusion is in 9 days, which is so awesome. And we have so many good catalysts coming in 2025. It's not even funny. Let's talk about this news article that came out, how MicroStrategy is expected to be added to the NASDAQ 100. And this was, from NASDAQ.com. We'll see what happens. Nothing's for sure until it is for sure, because there's a lot of speculation running around. But a lot of people are thinking this is going to happen. Eric Balchunas, I think you pronounce it, says it's likely to be added on 12/23 with an announcement coming on 12/13. So Moderna is likely to get the boot, symbolic. So really interesting to see that some people are coming out and making the statement that MicroStrategy is going to be included. Of course, I've been thinking that they would, or at least that they should. Who knows, just because they should, if they will be, but I believe that they should, and I believe that they will, because you can't stop this train that is MicroStrategy. You can see they kind of give some more notes about this, and anybody that looks at this chart must be like, how am I not on this train right now? How am I not part of this? And again, this is actually going to get to the Ponzi allegations that we'll be addressing in a little bit here as well. The next thing I want to talk about here is it's not too late to load up, says Lance Vitanza about MicroStrategy stock. So there's definitely some big names, some big people out there that are talking about loading up on MicroStrategy. He kind of goes into why, what the indicators are saying, like what Michael Saylor's doing. I mean, things that you and I all know, but they just have to come from people other than Michael Saylor, from people other than myself, who some people that don't believe in MicroStrategy will just be like, oh, they're just all hyping Michael Saylor and they're just hyping MicroStrategy in their own stock. It's true. We are, because we love it and we want to shout it out to the world, because it's just such an amazing company and future in our opinions. Who knows what the future may bring, but we do believe that. But other people are now coming out and putting their professional reputations, their stakes on the line, and saying, this is why this is a good company. And it's good to see voices like that out there. So this tweet by Michael Saylor was really cool. I wanted to just highlight this right here, because I pretty much, love when Michael Saylor tweets, because they're always very meaningful tweets about something important that's happening with MicroStrategy. He said last week, MSTR's treasury operations delivered a Bitcoin yield of 3.3%, providing a net benefit of approximately 13,270 Bitcoin to shareholders, or around 1,896 Bitcoin per day. I mean, just picture that number, my friends. 1,896 Bitcoin per day. At $98,000 per Bitcoin, this equates to 1.3 billion for the week, or 186 million per day. And then Earnscape says it all right below. Impressive yield from MSTR's strategy. Very cool stuff. Let's go ahead and see this tweet from Stack Hodler. I really enjoy his stuff, because he gets philosophical. He kind of makes us step back and say, hey, are you still enjoying life through this journey, which I think is important for us to do. But this is about Ray Dalio. I think I pronounced his name incorrectly in the intro, but Ray Dalio finally gets Bitcoin. Today in Abu Dhabi, he said, I want to steer away from debt assets like bonds and debt and have some hard money like gold and Bitcoin. This was an individual, by the way, that used to be anti-Bitcoin. He has made anti-Bitcoin comments in the past, like almost everybody has. So nothing against him. He just didn't get it at that stage in his life. Heck, Michael Saylor didn't get it until 2019, 2020, and beyond. It takes people time to get it, and that's okay. But now he's on the Bitcoin train. He used to encourage more people to buy gold than BTC, but six-figure Bitcoin changes everything. Five-figure Bitcoin happened when Bitcoin was still a plaything for tech folks, libertarians, and high-risk investors. It seemed like an experiment, but six-figure Bitcoin has the support of BlackRock and literal nation states. 100K Bitcoin represents a phase shift. Bitcoin is vastly more investable for big money today. It's gone from embarrassing to own to an aspirational to own. And if you don't own this before it's seven figures, you are a laggard. And this is him talking about it in the article that goes into it. Want to share this tweet right here from MSTR Updates. Microsoft shareholders vote against Bitcoin investment proposal. They will capitulate and buy Bitcoin eventually at a much higher price. And that's the reality. They are going to capitulate. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when they capitulate, it will be for a higher price. And every shareholder that voted for it, because there were a lot that voted for this addition of Bitcoin, will be furious. And everyone that voted against will be embarrassed. Period. End of story. Let's move on to this great tweet by Punter Jeff. He just says, remove the noise, great perspective. And he wanted to highlight what Colleen tweeted, which was actually the great tweet here. She says, I was taking a closer look at MicroStrategy short-term stock performance over the past 6 weeks, and there's nothing alarming to me. The fluctuations feel like part of the plan and aligned with the vision Saylor and MicroStrategy have set out to achieve. And then look at this, my friends. Just look at this chart. Here we go. Whoa, smooth up. Yep, overheated, and then down and smooths out. Listen, volatility is a feature, not a bug. Michael Saylor says that. You'll hear me say it time and time again. MicroStrategy stock must be volatile. That's why it's working. That's why it's allowing MicroStrategy to buy more Bitcoin, to offer these convertible notes at 0% at such a high frequency. So I get it. We all want the stock price to go up, and I truly believe it will. But until it actually does, let's just say, man, Michael Saylor and Bitcoin is getting more Bitcoin at amazing prices and is increasing our Bitcoin yield at a higher rate because of that every single day. I wanted to share this tweet right here from the Bitcoin therapist. I love sharing his stuff because he's also just kind of an extreme voice of reason that I like. Important to remember that if MicroStrategy only bought 1 to 2 billion Bitcoin and continued with a modest approach, no one would be calling it a bubble or speculation or a Ponzi. It's only because Saylor has implemented an incredible, thoughtful business model that everyone is in denial. It's so true. People are calling MicroStrategy a Ponzi scheme because, one, they completely don't understand it. They have a complete incompetence when it comes to MicroStrategy, its fundamentals, what they are doing, the fundamentals of Bitcoin, how Bitcoin is perfect money, is a perfect preservation of capital. They don't get any of that. What they do get, and this is why they're calling it a Ponzi, is they do get that they have missed out on massive wealth gains. They are going to continue to miss out on generational wealth gains. And because of that, it hurts. It's painful. They have massive FOMO, where they have this fear of missing out, but an inability to learn and to research, or at least a non-desire to do the work that you and I are doing right now by consuming this content that I'm sharing with you and continuing to understand exactly what it is that MicroStrategy is bringing to you and to me for an opportunity to be part of this amazing train that is going to be such an exciting, exciting ride. And so they call it a Ponzi scheme because it feels better for them to say, oh, I mean, nothing can go up like that. Like nothing can go up that high, that fast. So it must be a Ponzi. So I'm good for being out of this Ponzi. They're, likely going to get MicroStrategy at the price that they deserve, which will be higher because it's going to become obvious to everybody as this narrative continues to play out exactly what Michael Saylor is doing and the genius behind it, in my opinion. I want to share this clip from Michael Saylor. It's a great video clip that he shares that just is something that I like to play over and over again sometimes, just because I love hearing the words. It soothes me. It makes me smile. And then there's another clip I'm going to share as well. So I'm going to step back. I'm going to let Michael take it away. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, Keith, like once I understood Bitcoin, I, I would go to bed with anxiety at night, feeling short, because I worried that somebody else would figure out what I'd figured out and they would buy it all and I wouldn't be able to buy anymore. And so once you get something and you look out decade or decades, the only issue is, how do I buy more of it? Bitcoin is the first perfect money, the first perfect money in the history of the human race. I spend my copious free time reading economic history, and I've read thousands of years of economic history and tens of thousands of pages. And it's one chaotic, disaster train wreck of, we used seashells, we used bales of tobacco, we used silver and gold, and we clipped the coins, and we had bimetallism and it crashed, and we had fiat currency, and we had a debt crisis, and no one ever had a money that was not defective. I mean, I can show you examples of monetary crashes every 30 years for the past 3,000 years in every single culture. And Satoshi comes along for the first time and says, oh yeah, here's money, it's not broken. And it's so profound. It's like, you look at this water, you sit down at a table, and the poor person thinks, oh, I got to drink water. And the rich person wants to drink $1,000 bottle of champagne or wine or something. But for 100,000 years, humans didn't have clean water. Right? And if you read the history of civilization, people are dying in their 30s and 40s and 20s because the water's dirty, because they're getting infected. If you were Henry VIII, you didn't have clean water. The reason they all had gout is they had to drink wine with alcohol in it, and they ended up with degradation of their limbs because they didn't have clean water. So we only have clean water, clean air, clean food that doesn't kill us. We only have it for the past 100 years. We had dirty money from 3 million BC all the way up to January 3rd, 2009. We have dirty money, and there's one guy that actually finally gives us clean money, non-toxic. It does not kill us. So is it spiritual? Yeah, it's spiritual. It's like, what happens when I inject poison and toxic into the veins of my kids? They're dying. It's like forcible chemotherapy to a 12-year-old athlete. That's the problem. All these companies have a useful life expectancy of 10 to 15 years. You know why? Because the capital is toxic, because the money that they capitalize on is toxic. It's sucking the life out of them. Satoshi comes along and he gives you non-toxic money. And who else did it before him? Nobody. So you got to actually hold with reverence the person that actually gave the human race the first clean, perfected money. And you look after that point, you're like, oh man, like we're not dying anymore. Infant mortality rate's 40% before clean water. It's like 4 out of 10 of your kids are going to drop dead, and I give you clean water and I say, take this, it won't kill them. And you're like, well, what? So the point is, it's a pretty profound paradigm shift. And it's for those of us who are maximalist, that actually believe Bitcoin is an ethical imperative. It's an instrument of economic empowerment. We're just very protective of Satoshi. We don't like what anybody pokes at.
And there you have it, my friends, another day of MicroStrategy Today, where I'm bringing you all the genius, all the amazing updates that is MicroStrategy, that is Michael Saylor, 7 days a week. I'm here for you. I hope you enjoy these clips. I hope you enjoyed understanding that Ray Dalio is now getting excited about this, why people are thinking this is a Ponzi. So if you see it out there, you just realize, listen, hurt people hurt people. And people that miss out on this kind of thing, they're hurting. So they're lashing out and they're calling names and they're doing things. But you and I both know what the truth is, what the fundamentals are, and what we're going to be doing going forward as being part of this great company as shareholders and as supporters of MicroStrategy, of Michael Saylor, of Bitcoin in this revolution. So this is not financial advice. Please do your own research, consult a financial advisor before you make any financial decisions. This show comes out 7 days a week. MicroStrategy Today. We don't mess around. So please join us. Hit the subscribe button. It's going to pop up right now. There's another great video that will pop up too that has some great intel, some great information. And remember, there is no second best.